Hi everyone, I'm Mr. Smith, it's Friday, Paraskevia, and today we're starting our series of videos about postpositions in Georgian, tandebuli. Now, in English, for example, like today, თვის, we're going to say that it's for you. Shen თვის. This tandebuli, this postposition, is added to the pronoun or the noun to show that relationship. Very different from the English language. It contains a lot of rules. We're starting with for because I felt it would be a little bit more fun, but generally speaking, we're going to be exploring the whole range of tandebuli in Georgian, starting with tvis. So, if you're ready, let's go. Let's begin with my Instagram poster, and in the middle, we've got a photograph of this. This is a spice blend. It is a complex blend for, let's say, lazy cooks who want to get the experience from making kharcho, a traditional Georgian dish, without adding all the different spices, without having a full repertoire of spices. You just buy the seasoning mix, add it to the right ingredients, and abracadabra, you've got what you want. In fact, it's so popular, I've got another one. This is quite popular too. Same thing. Kharchos sakmazi. Here, this one I got in Kutaisi. It's almost running out because actually I use it also for other things as well. I just like the blend I got here. This one I also got from my friend. So this one I got myself in the Bazari, and this one I got from my friend. I picked it up in Malmo. So there's quite a lot of, well, I could make a lot of kharcho, basically. So I know exactly what these spices are for. But let's just say that you don't. And you want to ask in Georgian, what is this spice blend for? And they will politely say it's for kharcho. It might seem like a silly question. It's like getting curry spice mix and saying, what is curry spice mix for? And somebody says it's for making curry. Surprise, surprise. But of course today we want to ask that silly question because tandebuli postposition tvis, which is always in the genitive case. So just remember that we've got here Shoto Rustaveli who will explain with me everything about this particular genitive case, allows us to ask such questions. So at the top we've got the question using tvis here, and at the bottom we've got the answer using tvis, because in the beginning we could say, what is kharcho spice mix for? Ristvisaa kharcho sakmazi. Ristvisaa kharcho sakmazi. Almost like I picked it up and looked at it and thought, oh, what's it for? And then the person says, the worker says, or maybe just somebody listening to your question says, kharcho sakmazi, kharchostvisaa. Kharcho spice blend is for kharcho. It's not for anything else. There are a variety of Georgian dishes. Not all of them come with a fixed blend. This one's rather complex, and so people just rather buy the blend and just go with the flow. So we're going to be looking at the use of tvis in questions and the use of tvis in answers to represent for in English, but taking this as our first in a series of videos on tandebuli. And actually, the next two videos will be strictly tandebuli endings, like this one, in the genitive case. So let's take a look at some examples. Slide 1, I'd like to start by saying that the word tvis appears twice. In the first instance, it's actually the genitive of tve. It is directly related to something of the month. The word tve ends in an e, but in the genitive case undergoes kwetsa. But what's happened here is that the e has gone and the is ending is added. Now we look at the word bolo, which also ends in a vowel, but that hasn't had any ending change. Bolo, you simply add the s and you get the genitive. So tvis would actually be kind of what you would prefer if it wasn't for kwetsa unkumshma, right? So the end of the month is the month's end, tvis bolos. If it is the employee of the month, then it's going to be tvis tanam shromeli. Tvis tanam shromeli. With the natural construction of the genitive case, the natesa opiti brunva, of course, let's take that into account. So we've got tandebuli. Now, tandebuli is perhaps a little bit easier. You just drag and drop the ending to a noun. Tvis is for, gan is from, ken is towards, mir is by, mde until. They actually have a few other functions, and again, that's why they're topics of videos that are going to come. So in the case, for example, that I want to say that it's for a co-worker, right? I've got here tanam shromeli. We're going to construct it now and add our tvis ending here following all of the relevant rules. So, sachelobiti nominative, tanam shromeli. Tanam shromel ends in a consonant. We're going to lose that ending because it's not in that case anymore. It's in natisaobiti, brunva. So, tanam shromelis. This also loses the E. So, tanam shromlisa tvis. And you're thinking, ah? Because this is a very interesting tandebuli. Savrtsobi is the optional A. It's also, again, it's really interesting, isn't it? That in Georgian you might lose a vowel that you expected to see, and you might add a vowel if you want it there. It's basically an optional A. So, with that said, if I want to say that this is for a co-worker, it's not for me. Chem tvis ara. It's not for me. Tanam shromlisa tvis. It's for a co-worker. Whatever I'm talking about, I am disconnecting its purpose because it's not for me. And so you can see here that adding these endings create that new meaning, purpose, and in this case perhaps possession, which of course links to why all nouns must be in the genitive case, because it relates to possession, not always, but let's just say that either it belongs to somebody in a certain way because it's for them, or a function belongs to that thing because that's what it's made for. Okay, so you can see here that they link together to the extent that you could even say that if it's for the end of the month, then it would be tvis. And if you thought that that was just tricky, you could add in the optional savrtsobea and say tvis. It's so interesting that you allow your ear to expose the absence and presence of the a because it's really optional. I have spoken about this with my friends about what is savrtsobi, and what's really interesting is that it can either show an intense personal connection with the attribute, or it can show a completely formal, abstract, distant connection with the attribute. It seems that there is no consensus really as to when and why, but when it's there, it has a feeling, and so you have to go with your intuition. I think in the case of Georgians, they intuitively know where and why, and they also know when it seems a little bit over the top, and they also sometimes have it where, I would prefer to say it with an a. So, savrtsobi is when vowel a is added to this tandebuli. And we're going to be looking at other examples using this construction, being aware as well that tvis is how we're learning it today. Tvis is super common in spoken Georgian. So, tanam shromlisa tvis is kind of what you might hear. So we've got here three things that we really have to consider. Although we're simply dropping the tandebuli ending, we've got the e is removed, the a is optional, and the v can sound like a w. If we just accept that that's what's going on, then we can move to the next slide. Slide 2, let's look at some good examples of tandebuli tvis for them, for you, for Georgi, for your nephew, and for my dad. And so here we want to know, let's say, we need an example, no? So let's take estkali Vistvisaa. I'm asking you, who is it for? Indeed, in English it could be, for whom is this water, no? So, Vistvisaa. What's important here is that tandebuli is in the question. here, tvis. And so the answer will be mat tvis. It's for them. It's designed for them. They might not know that they are the owner yet. That's the point of this tandebuli. It's attributing possession as an aspect to this bottle of water. And I'm being told. So that's why the genitive is rather important. Tvis, it's for you. Kharchostvisaa, this water is for you. It's not yours, is it? You didn't know. That's why the question was opened. There's a difference between shenia, chemia. I already know it's mine. So I wouldn't need tandebuli tvis to expose the designed ownership. Okay? So we can see why it's rather important. If it's for Georgi, Georgisa tvis, Georgistvis. Okay? Savartsobi-a. If it's for your nephew, remember that zma is the sachalobiti and shvili is child. So sheni dzmis shvilisa tvis. It's for your nephew. It's for the son of or child of your brother. Sheni dzmis shvilisa tvisaa. This bottle of water. Here I've added 3 extra A's because that's a complete idea. Mama chemisa tvis. It's for my father. Or mama chemis tvis. It's the same thing. It's for my dad. No? Good. So as we can see here, the construction is there. It's not a complete idea. At the bottom, I'm going to use a complete question. But pronunciation. Number 1, tvis versus tvis. Now, just remember in English, we don't always say for, do we? We say for. For them, for you, for Georgi, for your nephew, for my dad. For. It's quite natural for us to say that as native speakers. And so when we use for, it's not right, is it? We know that it's for, but it's natural. Tvis is the same thing. Matvis, shentvis, Georgisa tvis, right? You're going to hear it, get used to it. One thing that you're going to hear, but you shouldn't get used to, is za. So shenza, Georgiza, mama chemiza. You might hear this because, let's say, in cinema or perhaps on the news where it's a specific reason in Georgia or they're profiling a social, economic identity. So you'd rather not use it because you're never going to need it unless you really are a farmer from one of these regions. However, it is there, and I want us to know that Georgian has many different ways to show nuance in its language. Personally speaking, of course, it's considered to be rather taboo to use such constructions in a formal situation. But what are we learning now? That tandebuli tvis is actually spoken tvis, and it has a dialectical variant za that isn't necessarily allowed. So we've actually got to focus on tvis, despite what's on the page. It's like me saying we have to focus on for instead of for, and also for whom is it for? They deliberately put that construction there because that's not right. It's kind of right. Whom is it for? For whom is it? Who is it for? Now, if you're native speakers of English, you know which one of them is right. And for Georgian speakers, they also do too. Variants exist in all languages. So let's get to the point. Vistvisaa is kanoni. I'm reading the law, maybe it's the newspaper. Vistvisaa is a kanoni. And you say, it's for the citizens. Mo kalake bisatvis. It's for citizens. Mo kalake bisatvis. This is my plural. Mo kalake eb is atvis. Is, of course, my genitive. Everything's in color. Mo kalake bisatvis. Here we haven't lost any of the vowels. Double e, no, it ends in an e. But for example, with other words, for example, neighbors, mezzo, belly, mego, bari. In the plural form, we're going to get mezoblebisatvis, megobrebisatvis, for neighbors and for friends, respectively. So we've got this disappearance of the e, and we've got the additional optional a. And if I were to answer the question, Vistvisaa as kanoni, for whom is this law? And I say, this law is for the neighbors, then it would be es kanoni mezoblebisatvisaa, with the more rounded, formalized way of speaking. Or it's for friends. Again, I wouldn't say this law is for my friends, and so you can see that doesn't work. But as you can see here, then that's only really the complication element. Adding pieces, taking them away, and trusting your heart. Slide 3, now we get the opportunity to revisit the opening question with a broader, solid understanding of tandebuli, tvis. Because we're not attributing who it's for now, it's what it's for. Existentially, it's purpose. So, ristvis and ristvisaa, it's a complex, complete question. Sa chirogrammatika, this was my question. For what purpose, existentially, is grammar necessary? That's a very open question. And so, let's use that now to revisit our original question, which now should appear a lot easier. Ristvisaa kharchos sakmazi. Kharcho sakmazi, kharchostvisaa. 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 If you want or don't want, savrotsobi. Another spice is actually a suneli, because really suneli is when it's derived from one thing, and khwitali khwavili is yellow flower. It's actually saffron. I've written here imeruli zaprana because it's actually a Georgian type of saffron from a similar species of flower, but it's actually in the title. Khwitali is yellow, khwavili is flower. But we'll never know that in English. It's Georgian saffron. Imeruli from imereti, zaprana. So the question is, what's it for, no? So, ristvisaa, khwitali khwavili. And the answer is perisatvis. Peri, color. Perisatvis, for color. Da, gemosatvis. Gemosatvis. The reason why I like this example is that we've got peri, which is now in the natesa obiti brunva, a, savrotsobi, tvis. Gemo ends in a vowel, so we add just an s. Gemosatvis. Perisatvis da gemosatvis, for color and for flavor. That's it, that's the last slide of today, and of course, as promised, next week we're going to be looking at gan. So, have a nice weekend, and I'll see you then. Bye.